All right.
Hi, everyone. Very good morning to you from Germany. Sorry the light is not looking so bright. Welcome to winter in Germany. That's what's up.
Yeah.
My name is Mike, and as always, I have my co host with me who's joining from Nigeria, and I am based in Germany. Today, we're going to be talking about visa and pathways. Which pathway applies to you? Which one should you choose? There are multiple ways for you to move abroad, to move to Germany, to move to Europe. But of course, there's always the best one that applies to you. And today we're going to be talking about it. As always, we'll keep it right on point. We'll aim for max 30 minutes. And I hope at the end of the day you get some values. Before we proceed, I'd let my co host to briefly uh, touch on the main topic for today, and then we get started.
All right. Thank you so much, Michael. Back in Nigeria, we are still in between. There is this battle between the rainy season and the Hamatan. So we are just in between. It's a very cold weather this morning. Not really cold. It's just nice. And so about the topic, yes, how you get to Europe matters a lot because there are how you got there determines the kind of opportunity that you are open to or platforms that you can access and all that. And then the information
Yes.
you have on these different pathways again matters a lot. As a student, what kind of job can you pick? What is the pay range for the kind of job that you can apply for? And what are the other opportunities in terms of insurance and all that? And the requirements also, they all differ. That is why, like we say sometime, migration is very unique. There's no one cap fits it all kind of arrangement. So it depends on what you're looking for. It depends on what is demanded from you and all that. So in today's session, like you rightly said, is going to just be for about 30 minutes, and we hope to make it quite valuable. The time spent with you to be quite worthwhile. So, and that's just it. Today's session, visa, is it so Michael is if not all the answers, he has enough answers to provide to you. And if you have other question, you can put to see. I don't know if you're good, Michael.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks a lot. So, to proceed without wasting further time, if you're watching this across LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, wherever, feel free to use the comment section to ask us your question now or later when you watch the recap. The best thing, of course, would be that you join us on Setlinn. That's the platform that we are building to make migration seamless and more personal. I'd like to start first by letting you know that there are multiple aspects when it comes to migration that you should think about. The first thing, it's personal. Why is it personal? The host country that wants you to come in has a reason for opening their borders and their doors to you. So it all aligns to their interest first and foremost. And then on your path, you also have to think about yourself. What's your reason for going there? You know your reason for going there. Then the next thing would be, do you have the requirements to go there? And this is what we are building at Setlinn to make it easy for you to identify the different locations, what are the opportunities for you, and how can you get there fast as possible. And fast does not mean in 1 month, in 3 months. No, fast means going there the right way and being fully prepared upfront. More specifically for today, we're going to be looking at three key pathways: student, Ausbildung or trainee or apprenticeship, and skilled workers. We believe these are the key ways that people move abroad, that people move to Europe, that people move to Germany. So we're going to be focusing on these key areas. It does not mean that there are not other pathways, but these are, from experience so far, the most common pathways. What does it mean to move abroad as a student? Moving abroad as a student can move either before your bachelor's level, the bachelor's level, your master's, PhD, postdoc. So the question would be, what level are you aiming for, and what qualification do you already have? The Ausbildung routes. So, Mike, I'm trying to go over the key points, and then we will touch on each of them specifically. The Ausbildung route, which I personally find very interesting because it's the most straightforward path, except the key requirement of having a good German language proficiency. What would also interest you is that the German speaking countries Germany, Austria, and the German speaking part of Switzerland, they both have this pathway as a common way for people to relocate. It's a common concept there. You do not need a formal degree from a uni. You just need your high school qualification, have a good command of the language, and you can learn basically any profession. The best part is you're almost certain of landing a job right after this program. It goes for about 3 years. Skilled workers route, pretty straightforward. You're experienced, you're a professional in a specific domain, and you want to move from your current location to add value to the labor market in Germany, in Europe. And then the question would be, which option would you select? As it stands today, there are multiple routes that you can go that way. You're either hired directly by a company who is in need of an expert like you. They will take care of all the paperwork and you would be hired directly and come through a work visa. Alternatively, you would come to Germany or Europe, depending on the country that also has this pathway, on the job seeker visa or on the opportunity card visa. So what that means is you do not need to have a job before you arrive. So the plan is that you've already started looking for jobs, but your presence here is essential for you to land that job. Also, it's the way of the government to encourage people to already make that move to come in, seek the job, and get it. Why? The government needs people to work so they can stabilize their economy. So, this is just to give an overview of the three key pathways. I'd like to know from your side, Michael, from your point of view, looking back home and the people, which pathway do you think would be the most essential for them or would be the most beneficial? Because again, there are different routes, people with different qualification. So which one do you think most people would qualify for or most people would want to go for?
I was muted actually. Sorry about that. I
Okay.
think each of these pathways are quite unique and they speak to the different needs of different people.
Yeah.
And I think the government of Germany, in their wisdom, have really made this. It makes it quite inclusive because for all group of persons, there is a special package for you, like the job seeker visa, the hospital, and then I don't know which other one. So skilled,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, skilled workers. So
Yeah.
now I wanted to ask this question. So, like I said, for different persons, different cap for different heads, and I think that's how I just call it. So, that makes it quite inclusive.
Yeah.
So now, for you mentioned that for the job seeker route, you don't necessarily have to need to have landed a job. You can, in anticipation, come in and then position yourself to get a job because where you are on ground, like we know, location is key to employment. Even in back in Africa, most time if
Yeah.
you're in one state and the opportunities in another state, it's difficult for them to consider you for the role because of the realities
Yeah.
of relocation and all that. The organization
Yeah.
wants to get more cost. So
Yeah.
now, because of that, what is there like an arrangement from the government between where you got to Germany and where you land a new job? Is there any special arrangement for government to for your welfare, like accommodation and feeding and stipends like that?
Yeah, that's a good one. Um, so if you're coming on the job seeker visa route or the opportunity card or one of these pathways that you don't have the job yet, you get the job when you come here, then you do not, in most cases, qualify for any social benefits. Why? What have you contributed to qualify for benefits? You need to contribute before you can also get something from the system. And that also applies to students, international students mostly. There are limitations to the social benefit which they qualify for. But the best way for you to understand the system is you make contributions upfront and then you benefit later. That's how it works.
Oh, all right. Now, I think I don't know if I told you this story of a friend before. He was on he got a job from a company who now worked or did all the arrangement for him to travel abroad. But you know,
Yeah.
sometimes the terms and conditions of the contract are not quite favorable, like landing your permanent residency, you know, that is
Yeah.
always tied to your contract. And
Yeah.
now, if you want to look for other opportunities in other companies or organizations, it becomes quite difficult. Can you please shed more light on this kind of situation?
So just to
Like
be
looking
sure
at
I
the terms
understand
and
you correct.
conditions of the contract, do you think it's very important?
Of course. So in most cases, your visa is not necessarily tied to your employer. At least that's not the case in Germany.
Yeah.
It's only the case for the blue card visa. So the blue card visa is usually tied to your employer. So if you don't have a blue card visa, most other type of visas that you have is not necessarily tied to your employer. Um, but in general, the most important thing is understand what's the minimum duration you need to work and pay your tax before you can now get a permanent residence. So if you understand that, then you already can plan ahead. But you're not necessarily, except in the case of a blue card, tied to a particular employer. No. For the blue card, yes, when you switch employer, you need to inform the um, the job agency and the foreign office that you've switched employer, and they will also update your visa accordingly and tie to the new employer. And if you decide to go for a non-blue card visa, then that would not be the case. So if you switch employer, you don't need to tell anybody. And talking about terms and conditions, it's just about the contract which you have with your employer. So, and that would guide, both parties, so you and your employer, how to work and what to do. Otherwise, every other thing would pretty much be the same as you would do regardless of the kind of job that you have.
Oh,
Okay.
that's so good. Now, I wanted to say, I think it's very important that people pay attention to the terms and conditions of their contract before accepting the contract, and then hurrying to travel. I'm just trying to speak generally to Europe now, but you've mentioned being Germany specific. For instance, now because this person he travels abroad, and then maybe on the terms and conditions of the contract, even if you must get a permanent residency, your current employer have some role to play. I don't know if that's applicable in Germany also. And when you've not finished your contract, or in terms of the terms and conditions contained in your contract, you want to just move from the one who was responsible for your movement to maybe Germany and all that, and then you just want to shift. Do you think this is about not understanding the context properly, or trying to outsmart your employer or something? Oh, I don't know.
Mhm. I mean, everyone is free to switch job if you're not happy where you are, if the conditions are not favorable for you, then
Yeah.
it's only logical that you switch. You're not tied to anyone. So I wouldn't see it as a way to outsmart the system if someone tries to switch
Okay.
employers, right? So
Yeah.
if the conditions are favorable for you, then you stay there. And of course, it
Yeah.
would not make sense to switch employer or like to leave one job if you don't have another, right? So you want to make sure that the other job is for sure secured before you would leave the other one. But there is no issues with switching employers. I think it's quite common that in a space of 3 to 4 years, someone might switch employers up to 3 times or even 4 times. I personally had the experience, and I was not switching because I wanted to outsmart the employer. I was switching because I found better conditions that suit me, and it does not in any way affect my residency or becoming a permanent resident or a citizen. No, you everyone needs to find better conditions because if your employer is not happy with you, they will also switch you. So before they switch you, you better switch them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
it's popularly said, like Murillo said, he saw that he was going to be pushed, so he jumped before he was pushed.
right, it makes total sense. Yeah. So
Yeah.
now maybe coming back now to the different routes and touching on them more specifically. Um, for the study route or moving abroad as a student, let's use Germany for example as a case. It's pretty straightforward. Um, which country are you coming from? What's the educational system in that country? Especially if you have to start from, say, the bachelor's level in Germany, you need the university entrance qualification. So that simply means having the right qualification that allows you to study at the uni in Germany. If you don't have that, then you need to do the foundational course to meet up the missing gap. Otherwise, if you already have a bachelor's degree, it becomes easier. If your uni is recognized in Germany or that other location in Europe where you're going to, then all you need to do would be to tender, or at least as part of the requirement would be your university degree, So the certificate, the transcript of academic record, those are the key documents. And obviously, a means of identification, ideally an international passport, because that's what is generally accepted. So those would be like the key documents. And then depending on the uni or the country, a test of English language proficiency may be required. In most cases, it's not. It would be sufficient if you can show proof that your previous study was in English language. That's, of course, if you want to study in English language. I do, however, for those who have the strength, recommend studying in the local language because that's like all the integration that you need to get into the system. But of course, it's not the first choice for most international people, so totally fine. Otherwise, the other aspect you have to think about would be now the specific requirement from the school or the course, a CV, statement of purpose, reference, and so on. We could not touch all those points, and that's why I encourage anyone watching this right now to sign up on Setlinn, create an account, ask your questions, because then you get personalized answers to your question and you can really begin to build your way. Truth is, it doesn't take that much. Yes, some people say they don't have the money, some people do, but how much money are we talking about? We need to come down to the specifics. What money for what exactly? You'd be surprised to find out that, well, you shouldn't be surprised. There is, for every problem, there is for sure a solution. The question always is, where are you looking for that solution? When it comes to the Ausbildung pathway, it's also pretty straightforward. The minimum requirement is secondary school qualification, a B2 German language proficiency, and certificate, obviously. And that's all. Secure an employment with an employer in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, if they're, where they are practicing it. And then with that employment, you also secure a placement with a training institute because the Ausbildung pathway, it's a dual pathway. You do 50% training, 50% theory. So you are tied to an employer, you're actually working, you're getting paid for working, and then the other half, you attend classes and learn the theories. I think this is an excellent opportunity, especially for the younger ones who are not sure what they want to do. It's a good way to get started. And the best part is you get paid already from day one. So if you say money is your problem, then this is a route that you should consider. And trust me, even though you already have a degree, you could never be overqualified. Because if you have a degree and you don't have the relevant experience, this definitely would be the right way for you to start gaining that experience because you're going to be working straight up. Then, like I mentioned about the skilled worker route, it depends on, you know, your condition or where you currently are. If you secure the job straight away, you get in a
Yes,
contract, visa.
sorry, please.
Go.
I have a question to ask on the hospital route.
Yeah.
So now, does it have like age range?
Nope, not that I've heard. I haven't heard about age range. Um, I mean, why should it have age range? No one should be too old to be educated. No one should be too old to learn something new. Um, so I don't think there's no age range for sure. Maybe if you're a minor, then you would need approvals from your parents, guidance, and so on. But otherwise, there is no age range, none that I have seen.
All right.
Yeah. So this is like how we would put it in in a nutshell. And when I think about it like this, it's kind of straightforward. And I'm asking myself now, what are those challenges that people face? You know, where are things not very clear for them? Do you have some ideas where you think would be the difficult aspects or the difficulties that people face when it comes to selecting their visa route, their path to moving abroad?
The difficulty in the first place is knowing your area of strength. Okay, and then knowing where exactly you're needed. I think this is where people really struggle because now, if you know where your strength lies and you know where you are needed abroad, it increases your chances of getting your visa approved.
That's
I think
right.
this one is fundamental. But most times, people just rather want to just move and they rather look for the easy route rather than the right route. You get this
Hmm.
point now. So
Yeah,
the
yeah.
people look for the easiest route. How can I, like for instance now, I was trying to process a visa for my principal back then to Switzerland. And we know that for Switzerland, the period it takes to process the visa is about 1 month.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow
Mm-hmm.
the need to travel just came up, and then we had to be quick about it. So when I look for one of these countries, Italy, Belgium, which one is easier? That takes a lesser period to get a visa approved.
Yeah.
So now this is about wanting to look for the easiest way to get it done. So it's one of the greatest challenges that people face. And when you find the easy way, it might not give
Yeah.
you the best satisfaction even after arriving,
Yeah.
because you begin to see other opportunities that you can access.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the greatest challenge that people face. As said, everybody basically there is this problem of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, paying the cost for the visa fees, and also the
Mm-hmm.
flight ticket and the other stuff. That's what I was asking. If I am traveling to Germany and perhaps I'm not entitled because I've not contributed to the insurance and all that,
Yeah.
the time it takes to get the job, the relative, unlike in Africa where you can tell your landlord, please let me pay you back in 2 months, or I just lost my job, because for what you say there, they don't listen to stories there. It's done, deducted from some. I have to make sure that the balance is always there for them to deduct from. So these
Mm-hmm.
are the reality of changing, shifting from one system to another. A system that maybe you can tweak it a little bit and make adjustment to one that is more or less automated. So I think it's another challenge that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
people from this part of the globe face when they travel abroad. So when they
Yeah.
are faced with it, it's so stiff. In this place, you can say, let me go and stay with my uncle, if such is up, or stuff like that. There now, you don't have any uncle or even friend or something like that. So
Mm.
the way everything is structured over there, I think I've just
Mm-hmm.
mentioned about three things that could
Yeah.
make this
Mm-hmm.
migration of stuff quite difficult for a lot of persons. So yeah,
Yeah. I think we can actually summarize everything to finance because it's like
finance, more or less, yeah,
finance
finance.
is the key thing, right? Um, Now, like I mentioned, for every problem, there's a solution. Yeah. Of course, there's also the reverse. Some people who find problem for every solution that you talk about. But I am the other way around. For every problem that you have, I do believe there's a sustainable solution for you. Um, Now, let's take it stepwise. The first one before you come, money for all the things which you need. Um, by default, a key part for you to move abroad would be to fulfill the visa requirements. Because to study, it's one thing to get the admission, it's then another thing to get the visa. Getting the admission is usually easy. Some admissions are free of charge, like there's no application fee, straightforward. Others require application fee. So if you don't have money, you would focus on the ones that application is free. So that solves it. Then you've secured the admission. The next thing now is the visa, the student visa, for example. The key part for you to secure the student visa is that you have a means to sustain yourself. Like I mentioned, you're coming fresh, you do not automatically qualify for any social benefit. So you need to show proof that you can sustain yourself during your studies. And what this translates to is how do you, what resources do you have to show this proof? You have at least three options. The first is the blocked account, which you deposit certain amounts upfront, and when you come, you have access to that money. Obviously, if money is your challenge, then you don't have this money. So let's move to the next two options. The second is scholarship. But before scholarship, there is sponsorship. Ask yourself, who do you know in Germany, in Italy, in Austria, wherever the country might be for you, who can stand as a sponsor for you? What sponsorship simply means is someone who legally declares that they are financially responsible for you. It's a legal declaration. So it's not like you write any letter. No, there is a formal document for that. You fill it, you submit, and then it is sent to you. And that's what you attach to your application. Sometimes I hear people say, can you send me a sponsorship letter? It's not like I will sit down and write anything. No, it's a formal and official document which you obtain from the authority, and then you send it to the person, and that's what they attach to the application. So that would be one way to solve your issues. Now, you would hear people say, but I don't know anybody, I don't know anybody. Yes, you don't know anybody, but are you trying to know somebody? because if you don't know people that you need for certain things, then you have to, you know, uh, work your way up there. You need to build the connection. You need to build the authentic connection. You need to build the networking. Nothing will come to you directly. The things that come to you directly are natural stuff and natural disaster that you don't ask for. But otherwise, everything that you need in most cases, you need to seek them, you need to go out for them. So that's where networking comes in. I've seen many people who get the sponsorship letters through people that they don't know, they've never met before. It happens. It's all about your willingness. So that's a potential way to solve it. Last but not the least is scholarship. For scholarship, you don't need to know anybody. And the best part is you don't need to have the best grade. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of scholarship out there. The question is, how badly do you want it and how ready are you to put in the work? So these would be the three options to solve the money problem before you come in. And now let's say you found a way to solve it and now you're in. Well, your student visa qualifies you to work a minimum, or rather, a maximum of 20 hours per week, or maximum of 120 hours, 120 half days in a year. Anyways, break it down is simply 20 hours max per week. That's what it qualifies you for. So that means you still have the opportunity to work while you're studying and earn some money on top of whatever means that you already have. What would interest you also, we actually just talked about it yesterday in the session which we had. You can check the video out also on our YouTube channel or wherever you're watching this from. I'm sure it's still there. We had a video, we had a session yesterday where we were talking about closing the skilled worker gap in Germany, essentially leveraging on these opportunities for yourself. And then we talked about the locations to identify these opportunities. If there's one thing that we've been talking about in our sessions, it's all about thinking about the end from the beginning, you know? So planning yourself strategically. And again, you could not know all these things if you're trying to do everything yourself. And that's why there's a platform, there's a community which we're building to help us achieve these things together. You wanted to say something? Go on, please, Mike.
No, no, no. Go on, please. Go on, please.
Yeah, but so those would be like the yeah. I need to plug my PC before it goes off.
Oh,
So, but did you understand how I was able to like just touch on the different points
yeah, yeah, yes.
and
Because
the entry route?
for each of these problem, for each of these peculiar problems, you've been able to provide a solution. Like you would always say, if you keep your eyes fixed on the problem, you won't be able to see the solutions that also exist. So
No way.
don't be a problem person, be a solution person. Because for every problem or challenge, there's a solution also in some way. So, and you
Yeah.
rightly pointed them out. They said I go through the a student visa or you and all the other opportunities that come with them. There's sponsorship. There's also scholarship and all of that. So for every problem, there's a soft landing, and you've quite rightly mentioned them. Yeah.
So I guess that the bottom line here is that guys, don't overthink the process. Get into action. Some of you are, but most people are not. And those people who are not, those are the people that we are trying to get across to. You are the ones that we want to get in touch with. What exactly is the challenge that you're facing that makes you think there is no solution for you? Let's talk. We show up here every Saturday. Even when we're not prepared, we still show up because we are committed to this. You know,
Yeah.
come rain, come sunshine, whatever, be the power, no power, internet, no internet, we find a way to come here every Saturday morning. And we're doing this not for ourselves, we're doing this for you. So we hope that this provides you some value. And join Setlinn, create an account, get started. Because without doing that, without being with a community that you can rub minds with, that you can exchange with, and without taking actions when you watch or listen to content like this, I have no clue how you want to help yourself. I have no clue how you want to do it. I mean, of course, then maybe you want to rely on what most people do, just follow rumors, follow what other people are doing. But the truth is, if there's anything that we have learned, is that where the crowd goes, where the majority goes, is usually not the right way. And that's why in this world, you see, like the 1% of the 1% of the people of this world are the ones ruling the world because every other person is just going the wrong way for whatever reason. So, yeah, think different and be different. That's all I have to say in today's session. Over to you, Mike. So, we wrap it up.
All right, so my final words would be, we human beings are like the tea bag. You don't know what we are capable of doing until you put it in a hot water. Okay, so when you put a tea bag in a hot water, it changes the colors outrightly, completely. So, but as a tea bag, you don't know what that it is capable of changing
Right.
the entire water that way in just a few matter of seconds or minutes. And so you never know what you're capable of doing until you give it a try. And so don't just keep thinking the problem. Don't just sit back there and be thinking of all the impossibilities. You don't know how things can just work out. So go into action. Don't listen to all of this sessions every single weekend and then do nothing. So do something, get into work, and start the process. You never can tell. It might be much easier than you ever think. And at
100%.
Migration Truth Podcast, we tell you the most difficult side, and then we leave the sweetest part because it's better you always start the tasks that are more challenging, so that when you get to the easy one, it becomes your walkover.
100%.
It is called Migration Truth for a reason, so that and all the possible areas are. That's not to make you scared, but it's just to make you know how the level of preparations that is needed, and yeah,
Yeah.
so that on at the other side by the time you cross over. And Michael can attest to that. Yeah,
100%. 100%. The truth is, at the end of the day, it's much easier than you think, and you will
yeah.
get so much help. You have no idea, but you have to start. You have to do your part. And I think that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you so much, guys, for watching from all the different platforms. Please share this video with the people that you know. I think we genuinely care about you. Not I think, we genuinely care about you. We genuinely care about your dreams, and we want to see you succeed. It gives me so much joy when I go out and I see people tell me, "Hey, I know you have watched your video. I've seen your video. It helped me. I did this." Most of them I don't know, I've never seen before. But this is the testimony of what we're doing. And this is all the reward that we need to see you succeed. So share this video with someone who needs to see it. Leave your comment if you have questions, and definitely be a part of the community which we are building at Setlinn. I wish you all a nice weekend, and I hope we get a chance to see you sometime soon. Cheers, guys.
Cheers, everybody. Bye for now.